Looks like you're ready to go live, there we go. All right, looks like we are now live here. I've got Mr. William Rail from Strange Investigations, and we're going to be going over the timeline. We'll see how much we can get through this in this first show here. And William is going to, he's racing right now to add the new, the most recent timeline into the files, into the group files here. So I want to say hi to everybody in the chat room. And hey, Will, how are you, man?
I am doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad. Today is Sunday, January 23rd, and it's about 1 p.m. on the West Coast time. And good to have you on here. And we're going to go through some of this timeline stuff. But before we get there, if you can't, let me know when you can add when you
Oh,
add the
it should
timeline
already
to
be
the
there. It's
files.
the
Okay,
complete timeline journal and search history update PDF.
awesome. So I'm going to click over to that. Let me do a little refresh here just in case, and we'll kind of go through that. There is a poll up right now for anybody that wants to vote to see how valuable is this timeline. Is this very valuable to you, or is this not valuable? So I'll be curious to hear people's thoughts on that as
I'm
well.
curious how too.
So once this reloads and reloads, I will come back to that because I don't want to keep the black screen on, the black screen of death, as they call it. But I do want to show everybody where you can go into the group files if you are part of the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. And even if you're not, you could probably still access the files. So from the main homepage right there, you just go to Files, and you will be able to see all of the files that we have inside of here. You can sort it by the last date, the most current. So we're going to look at the most current here, which I don't see up here yet, for example, but let's see if it's showing up. Yeah, I still don't see it, Will.
Okay. Let
Are you
me go
being
ahead. I'll just go and
blocked?
add it
Will
again.
is being blocked right now, but
Probably. Would not shock me.
well, while we're waiting for that, make sure that you go and check out Investigations. Go to twitch.tv/Strange Investigations. You can check out all of Will's stuff there. He had a most recent one that I'm very curious to listen to. I listened to just a couple minutes or watched just a couple minutes of it, where he and Catherine discuss the whole mold thing. And I'm sure that what I found fascinating about what you were talking about there, Will, was that you were talking about how this pretty much helps us get a pretty accurate view of who died first, who died second, and who died third, and it does not match what we are told. I thought that was pretty fascinating. So,
Right. It's
it,
it's what's it's the part that really bothered me was the fact that they kept saying, that he did it, he did it, he did it. But it's like you look at it, and even if you look at everything else throughout the case, it
mhm,
doesn't look that way anyways. But we didn't really have 110% proof, if you get what I'm saying.
right.
With this, we can literally say, no, he didn't do it. Here's our science. Now it's your turn. Prove us wrong. They can't. That's the thing. So everything else is just like, well, they can basically bounce back and forth. Well, this doesn't prove this, and then we can go back. Well, this doesn't prove this. We can go back and forth with them, but with mold, that completely shuts them down. That if there would have been bugs, entomology can do the same thing.
Hmm.
And even then, those reports I was going over, they say the exact same thing. If you have entomology, if you're able to go and use some forensic entomology, then you're basically going to be able to figure out time pretty close. And then if you got mold on top of that, that's even closer. It's fascinating how it all works and how it all comes together with that. But
Do you think it's worth maybe creating like a little one sheet thing and sending it off to the Apple Valley police and see if they have any interest in taking a look at this?
I mean, I think that'd be a good idea, but I don't think they're going to respond. I think they're going to probably be like all like, no, not worth it. But yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea to do so. Is you never know, they might grow a pair and All right, well, let's have this conversation. All right, let's do this. Science is going to go and just shut you down anyway, so let's do this.
Right. Yeah, and as far as I know, we're still waiting on the Apple Valley, the city, to give us some clear answers about the fake document and that photo that's floating around there with the gun on it. So hopefully
Hmm.
we'll get that. We've waited longer for a lot of other documents and a lot of other questions, and they have always come through. They've always answered. So I have no reason to believe that they will not answer at some point. We may not like the
Hmm.
answer. It may be a non-answer. It may be something, but so far, they've pretty much answered everything that we've
Well,
asked in some
what's
form.
interesting about that photo with the gun, though, is I mean, I've already shown that one is definitely that's real. That's without a doubt that is real.
It's yeah,
Um,
it's real. But here's the question, I guess, and maybe we should clarify kind of that is okay. Number one, is it real? We need that. I need that. I need them to document that and say yes, this
right,
is real. Number two, need to see okay, who is this given out to?
right,
Was is this public data that we're looking at here? So based on those two things, that will kind of let us know what we should do, and you know what the next. That's my those are my kind of big things. But to
right.
get them on record of saying yes
Hmm.
or no to me is a big deal.
Right. So, I mean, I think it'd be interesting, especially if they do come out and say, no, it's not, and we gave it to nobody. Now we've caught them in a bit of a web here.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
at that point, they kind of have to come out and say, yeah, no, this is real. And if they don't, well, then I can prove it's real. So good luck on that, there, AVPD. So let's just do the right thing and just come out and just on record. But the other one is, if they're like, oh, we didn't give it out to anybody, well, then why do these people have it?
right,
Now I want to know who they're connected to, and I want
right.
to know if this isn't public information, then why do these people get it?
Yep,
Because at that point, I believe that would be, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's illegal activity, if I'm not mistaken.
I would agree.
So then we're looking at, okay, well, who's going to be in trouble for this?
Yep,
Or is this somebody that just got in and got their stuff somehow, or was able to get into their system? And was this something that's on their system? You know, um, I'd have a lot of questions if they come out and say, no, we never handed it out. But
that's right. Okay, so with that, I want to show everybody again, if you go to the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group on Facebook, go into the files section, click on the files, and now you will see the most recent one that we have. It's still not showing up here, but at least it's showing up on the, but it should show up right here where I'm looking at. But at least it is showing up if you are in the group and you scroll down, go to switch from new activity to the most recent post, and you will
I mean,
see it right there.
it's showing up for me right now.
Okay. Yeah, it could be my computer. You know, I'm still
Yeah,
on
I'll just
Windows
show it
10
just that way.
here.
People can see at least
Yeah, please
over
do.
here.
And so we're going to walk through this complete timeline with the journal search history update. And we're going to take a look at what we have here. And again, thanks to everybody joining in the live chat without any notice. That's pretty cool. Appreciate that. I'm going to make this as big as I possibly can so everybody can see this, especially for us who need classes. And we'll kind of go through this and um, look at some of the more relevant details here. 37 pages. So the first one you had in the group was 25 pages.
Right.
This one is 37. So it's definitely growing. I don't think it's done growing, Will. What do you think? Still got more to go?
Oh no, no. It's this. I think by the end of the time I get everything added with the phone records, financial records, what else? There's gonna be a lot more we're gonna be adding, but those two right there are gonna go and probably shoot it up at least another 20, 30 pages.
Wow.
I would guess.
Awesome. Okay.
So it's going to look a little cluttered in some areas, but that's a good thing. Pay attention to those areas. That's what we're finding already. The
Mm-hmm.
areas with the most information, we have more information there than we do on some of these other days, and that information is more often than not it's relevant, and it's it kind of gives some revelations when you see how the case is played out and basically who the players are rather
Sure.
in this whole story. So
And this goes pretty much all the way back to 1985. So it definitely starts there when David Crowley was born. And when Kamel was born, you can see, you know, they're about a year, maybe like a year and a half apart, not too far apart. I always thought it was interesting that Kamel was born on a military base, a U.S. military base.
Hmm.
I thought, well, maybe she was born, Saudi Arabia. They're from Pakistan. That's where their family is. That's where they pretty much move after they go from Saudi Arabia and everything. But I always thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not exactly sure why, but to be born on a military base kind of shows what Kamel's dad was involved with, right?
Hmm.
There's been some things about David's dad may have been involved, some contracting, but so if Kamel's dad was a contractor for the U.S. military, and David's dad was a contractor for private companies, I think too. So just pretty interesting. They're
Right.
not too far off, but
So,
it's interesting how somebody born in Minnesota and somebody born in Saudi Arabia and their paths cross, their streams
right.
cross in
Oh,
Texas. Pretty
that
interesting.
was a good one.
So then in 1998, the Kamel's family moved from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan, and it's a whole new world for them. It's kind of like, from what I've heard, it's a big jump, and um, I wouldn't say royalty in Pakistan, but a very kind of like the upper class is kind of what that's the feeling that I got from what I've been told on that.
Wow.
So David Crowley and Mitch Heil became friends in high school in the year of 2000, the Y2K year, a very important year there too.
Hmm.
And from that point, you have here May 2003. David told his family he was enlisting in the Army upon graduation from high school. I always wondered about this during that time. I don't know if you had a lot of friends who were enlisting at that time. I definitely did.
Hmm.
And there were many reasons. Some because September 11th and got to get Osama bin Laden, got to get rid of the terrorists. Other people were just doing it because they didn't really feel they had any other choice, any other options. And then I know some people that were doing it because they felt like they could use this as a starting point and could
Hmm.
really build off of that. So
I
it's
would definitely say around that time frame. I mean, we're seeing the Patriot movement really start to really boom. Before it was kind of was were the Patriots really all that were they all that active? And not really, from what I could see. But after 9/11, we got to see this huge boom in patriotism. Left and right, that dynamic wasn't really as big of a deal, and we got to see even me when I was in middle school. Um, at this time, it's rather interesting to see. There was a lot of people who were like, no, no, just this urge to, they want to go play hero and they want to go and take out the bad guy. That was basically the big thing here. The big scary Osama bin Laden, but
the boogeyman.
yeah. Yeah, but we know he's not really the boogeyman here. He's
Osama
one of
bin
them, but
Boogeyman.
he's not the big one.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot of different boogeyman that we've had over
Hmm.
the years, and it was interesting how all of a sudden we thought we were going after Osama bin Laden, and then the focus turned to another boogeyman,
Right.
Saddam
Yeah,
Hussein.
it's all U.S. made too, which is hilarious.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious, and it's strange how many people. I don't know what it was like there, but over here, the whole patriotism. I'm glad that you brought that up because there were actually people who were getting snitched on. They would talk bad about the whole war back in 2003, 2004,
Hmm.
and they would have there would be people that would knock on their door, asking them questions. So
Right.
the feds and all that stuff, they were in full swing back then. And it's kind of interesting to kind of see how that's never stopped. It's just
Right.
gotten, they've taken it to the next level since then.
What I found really interesting about this is if you look at 9/11, and if you were to go and follow how things went with that and you follow the war, there's a point where you will literally find this case. It does pop up because now that you're looking at, well, PTSD, because now that you're looking at all these different cases, and well, PTSD, they already automatically like to throw this case under that.
Mhm.
And then there's also patriotism. I think it was like 2006, 2007, I believe, is when they started really going after patriots. As maybe they're not so good. Patriots aren't so good, but really we know that's not necessarily the truth. What the problem is it's the feds cracking down on people that are like, no, we see the truth here. Maybe you guys should come out and tell the truth, and they're like, no, we're not going to. And that ends up being a focal point when you look at later on the timeline here. You see this direct connection to David and his mindset with this.
Yeah. And
So
when you say patriots, I'm gonna assume you're talking about the truth movement that was very big back then. Maybe not just the
right.
truth movement, but I'm assuming that's a big part of what you're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And those are a lot of people that David would end up surrounding himself with after he got out of service. And some
Yep.
of those people in the quote unquote truth movement are not about truth at
Right.
all. They are
Stop it.
gatekeepers.
Bad cop. Sorry.
Some of us had to find that out the hard way and up close and personal. And I think a lot of that is what happened with David. Even as far as even as recent as what a couple weeks ago, where the name Stuart Rhodes came up. I don't know
Right.
if you saw that or
Oh
not.
yeah.
And so with the whole January 6th thing and Stuart Rhodes naming, I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There. The thing is like I said before, when it comes to the Patriot movement as a whole, um, it's been infiltrated so hard, and
mhm,
that's part of the problem. We know We Are Change was. There's a 9/11 Truth movement that was. I mean, we've even seen people die over just wanting the truth.
right,
Coming out and speaking out against the government. What happens? People are dying. Of course, the government tries to say it's mere coincidence, but then you basically have to ask this: is it possible maybe this happened to David? I'm not saying necessarily did, but could it have?
right.
And we're seeing this the whole through this whole case. We see all these different things are unfolding. So
What's this thing you have here on June 23rd, 2004? David began basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia.
so just to put
Possibly,
it
yes, go
to
ahead.
put it bluntly, because then this one I have a lot. I wanted to go and say this earlier. When it
Cool.
comes down to the early stuff pre-case, a lot of the stuff, like I said, I just ripped it directly from Dan Hennon's timeline. I just took his timeline, spiffied it up, as I like to go and say. But then I did my own edits throughout the case. Now, before the crime was committed and all this, before the information we've got, right? It's a lot of this stuff I'm still having trouble confirming. Okay,
Okay.
so anything before like 2013 is going to be the tough stuff for me to go and be able to confirm everything.
Sure.
So I'm still looking into it. It is crucial as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. That's what I was going to
But
ask
all of
now.
this right back here that I've got highlighted on my screen, it is all things I'm still trying to go and confirm everything for. Now we know August 7th, 2012, the trailer is made. It was published on YouTube. We know that. But there's some things on here we can confirm.
Mhm.
But there's things on here I can't necessarily confirm, like writing professional Linda Sager from Colorado reviewed the script for The Gray State. I don't know where that came from. I'm still, like I said, to me right now, looking at, like you've always said too, is looking at the case, what we have right here in front of us, documents we've got, that's gonna be the most crucial part first, and then going outward, which would be just kind of bonus essentially.
Sure.
So that's basically anything before June 2013. I can't really confirm everything.
Yeah, the one about Linda, I have seen that document. I have seen it. So I do
Okay,
believe there is some, it's like an email or something like that. But yeah, I have
right.
seen something related to that too. But that's
Right,
good.
but there's things like, for instance, like there's a couple things here, like between January 7th and April 13th,
Hmm.
David met Danny August Mason. I can confirm things like that.
Okay.
Um, but when it comes to, like, I'm still trying to get the exact date narrowed down, but we know it is between that area. So I'm still trying to get the exact date, but we are seeing, like, there's conversations and posts and things like this that I have seen. I could have sworn I've seen them in the group that actually were confirming some things, but I know I've seen some things, either be in our group or if it was another group, but I have seen. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's only, 5 billion posts in our group and for 7 years when you think about it. So going back, there is a way, if people do ever want to, because I've done this with other content too. But there is a way inside of here to kind of filter it. Like if you're looking for something in 2014 and stuff like
hmm.
that, there is a way if people want it to go back and do that. I'm not going to go through it right now here, but
Oh yeah.
people can do that definitely. And we are live also on Twitch dot TV backslash strange investigation. So if anybody, any of our Twitch, anybody who's watching this on Twitch, please make sure that you can always go and check out Strange Investigations. You also have a podcast. Just tell me a little bit about that podcast, please.
Oh, it's real news with strange investigations.
Hmm.
Basically, I'm moving that. It's going to be 2 times a month starting next month. It was supposed to be this month, but next month.
Okay.
So it'll be like a bi-weekly news podcast. I just discuss everything about what's going on. So like just kind of like a little sneak peek, I guess, for the end of this month. We're going to be talking about Ukraine. We're
Hmm.
going to be talking about all the things Big Pharma is going through. We're going to be talking about any kind of executive orders that the president might be signing or has signed. Nudge, nudge on that one. Um, and things like this. It gets into politics. It gets into science, technology. War, military, economics. If it's big news that the media is especially not covering, I will cover it.
Yep. And that's Real News Now with William Rail. Is that right?
No,
Because
it's
you're
strange
on. Oh, sorry,
investigations.
with Strange Investigation. Because you can find it on Spotify. That's where I started following you on.
Yeah,
So yeah, I like Spotify. It's all right.
I'll be honest, I don't even use it.
Spotify's good if you for podcasts. But if you're using it for songs, you play like four songs, and then it kind of you have to listen to all these ads, and a lot of them are very COVID ads, and we're all in this together, et cetera, et cetera. It's
Right.
also on Anchor.fm. So basically,
Hmm.
wherever anybody listens to it, you can find it. You can find it on there. But yeah, just look up Real News Now with Strange Investigations. It'll pop right up. And if you're
Okay.
on Spotify, search for that. It popped up pretty easily for me. But it's just a great way to get some news. Our lives are pretty crazy right now and everything. We don't have time for everything, so it's nice to have these sources, to have these places that we can just kind of go to get caught up. So you and Dan Hannon are both kind of bad at like sharing your podcasts, even though because he does he's got a podcast too. He never talks about it on this show or never shares it. But I really want to kind of break that to kind of let people know, hey, these guys are doing other things too. It's not just the Crowley case, it's not just
Oh yeah.
this stuff here. They are trying to kind of keep people up on that. So you've covered a lot of stuff just in the last month. Two great shows. In December. So hopefully people will at least check out those two. And if you cover the Alec Baldwin show back in October. I thought that
Hmm.
was pretty interesting stuff. Lots of great stuff. So people, and they're very short. One thing that I'm trying to change about the Gray Stage podcast going forward is I am trying to kind of make our podcast shorter. I mentioned that to Catherine and to Sophia, and they rightfully just kind of laughed at me because they're probably right.
Yeah.
But we need to do that. I really want to make it shorter. And we can also we can extend these things out, do little bonus shows like we've been doing. But I think keeping it to 20, 30 minutes is a lot better for these podcasts. So
Oh
just my
yeah.
view on it. All right, back to the timeline there. So the regular, so he was possibly attached to the 1st Battalion, 6th Infantry in Germany, and we have some photos of David out in Germany where they were doing some competition or something like that. So, but everybody has to go there. I think that's part of the whole training. At some point, you will find yourself in Germany, depending on
Hmm.
which.
Yeah. When I was going to the Air Force, that was one of the first places they wanted to send me.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, my sad story as well. Couldn't complete it. Not
Nice.
because of physicality. I could do that, but it was my body didn't acclimate, so
Sure.
that sucked. And then
My
got
body
told
was
like
not
I have
ready.
asthma, but I don't have asthma.
You don't have
Who?
asthma. Okay.
I don't have asthma, but yet Lackland decided to tell me I have asthma.
Hmm.
I get back home, no asthma. Military doctors.
Hmm. Interesting. It's an interesting time during that time. I think during 2004 and 2008 is really when I started really looking into the wars and everything that was going on. And every time that I look at, what David Crowley was doing in 2012, it brings back all of those memories of friends, of family who have gone over there. And when they come
So,
back, they are not the same people.
mhm.
Now, I don't know, whoever, if somebody listening to this, watching this right now, if you knew David before he went into the service, was there a difference? Was he any different when he came back out? Because I can tell you, I've got a couple friends, and it really changed them. They became a lot more serious, a lot more reserved, I would guess. And
Yeah,
but they also did a lot more partying and stuff too. I don't get that from David. Didn't seem like if he had problems, he wasn't kind of drowning his sorrows in weed, or drowning his sorrows in drugs or beer or wine or anything like that. He didn't come off like that to me.
right. No, he definitely didn't come off that way at all. If you watch his videos where he was recording music and things like this, he
Yeah.
did a whole lot of. He was like writing music. I mean, he seemed more like he kind of kept to himself for the most part.
Yeah.
Not like like Mr. Antisocial or anything. No, I think he probably had his moments, but I don't. I think he spent a lot of his time just kind of thinking, and just kind of keeping to himself.
Yeah, he also seemed during his service days, he was a part of a Facebook group, which I always found strange because and you can find that's in one of the big documents that we have on my website here. I believe it's the BCA. Could be I always get these two confused. So and I'll know by the first page that I see it. But yeah, the BCA 485 document. I even got some of that stuff up here. But they pretty much screenshotted all of his like past social media from Facebook, and it goes back as far as 2006-ish. So he's definitely talking about stuff, but he was part of a Facebook group. I just always found that kind of strange that they would let them. Now maybe it was a private group, I'm guessing, but that the military would actually let them be part of a public social media Facebook group. Facebook wasn't that
Right.
big back then. I think it was still getting started, right? So it wasn't as
Yeah.
popular as it is now. But um, of course, I really don't think it's popular now. I think it's kind of it's on its last legs here. But it seems like he jumped into that stuff very early on. So if you scroll down there, you'll be able to find a lot of his old posts and going back and forth with different people. And the stuff that they talk about is pretty interesting, but you can see David is, pretty much I wouldn't say pro war or anything like that, but pro USA. And I know that a lot of the questions that I get sometimes were, how David felt about the service and et cetera, et cetera. And, he lived through it. So he saw the good, he saw the bad, and he saw the worst. He saw the best and the worst of all of it right there. But David was deployed, and well, I missed one here. The Alam family moved from Pakistan to Richardson, Texas in 2005, and Daniel Crowley Sr. and Kate Crowley got that. That's when they split up in that same year. So pretty interesting year for both of those families. A big change in both of their lives. As
Right.
somebody coming from a family who, my parents split up when I was like two, so I didn't really notice it. I always thought, having two moms and two dads, and my dad here and my stepmom, my mom over here and my stepdad, that was kind of normal. But for someone who was at that age, I'm assuming it's going to be that's a pretty traumatizing thing to kind of go through, to kind of know that your parents are kind of breaking up, like your whole world, everything that you've grown up in is pretty much ending. It's
Right.
gone. It's over. So that's got to be tragic too. That's got to be tough to go through, I would think.
I could imagine. I never went through anything like that. My parents were together the whole time, but it was rough. My family was very divided
Mhm.
politically. It still is. So I mean, we had to deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of infighting and all this. But
From your parents, or just from different sides of
oh,
the
my
family?
parents aren't divided on that. No, I mean they're
Oh,
divided on their own things. But no, like there's parts of my family that are very very staunch Republican. There's other parts of my
always.
family that are staunch Democrat. And then there's the ones that are just like me, for instance, which are like, I'm not saying I'm a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, but this is, we need to be coming together,
Hmm.
and we need to go and see the bigger picture rather than just, there's one bad side the whole time. No, there's bad on both sides. So
Right.
and yeah, that was a lot of fun growing up with. I mean, I was brainwashed, just like a lot of people that grew up, late 80s, early 90s. I was heavily brainwashed, like and like I tell my wife pretty much every single day, I am so thankful for her because without her, I would be. I'm going to be honest with you. I probably would have sided with Antifa by now.
Wow.
I probably would have sided with them a while ago. I think I would have woke up by now, but um, just based on some of the things I saw prior to me meeting my wife. Even though I was literally already heading towards that side, but like not like far left crazies, but I was like, f the police and all this kind of stuff. I was saying things like that, and I was somebody that was a criminal justice major for a while and all that. But I woke up. I mean, without her, I still would have woke up, but I wouldn't be where I am today.
Sure.
You know, so
Well,
that was kind of
we may have more in common then than I thought because I was kind of in that same way. When I grew up listening to music, and I realize now I was kind of brainwashed by that music. I was saying
right,
things that I had no idea why I was saying just because I heard it on a song or something like that, and then it
right.
became real, and then I just started kind of going with it, and the whole Rodney King riots and all of that stuff, I was
Hmm.
very like pro all of that. Of course, when I look at myself now and these recent riots, it obviously changed my whole view and really made me see how silly I was and how, you know, um, just how brainwashed I pretty much was back then and had no
Right.
idea what I was talking about. So people should be very careful. And I'm worried about the kids today because of how much stuff that they have out there, how much access they have to all of this
Yeah.
stuff. And it just, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. And it's gonna get worse. Russia predicted that back in like the 80s. I think it was late 70s,
Yeah.
early 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, the guy came over and said, "No, this is going on, and if you guys don't wake up soon, it's gonna fully take you." And
That's
well,
right.
it's here. It's already taken several people. It's taken people like you and I and all this and Sophia, Catherine, Dan, Stephen, and all us to go and wake people up. I'm like, look, this is not what's going on. Let me show you what's going on. And then takes a while, but people wake up, and it's a good thing.
That's right. So after that, in early 2006, David was deployed to Iraq, which we know everything that has gone off there. I mean, that's one of the worst years, some of the worst times to really be there. That's really in the heart of all of this. But for somebody who joins this service, I don't know if David did this, why he joined the service, but if you join in the service to fight the terrorists and you think that you're going to go after Osama bin Laden, all of a sudden you find yourself in a totally different country
Right.
doing something completely different, and you're like, we are policing these people. You get to see
Mm-hmm.
those kids there. You guys are like knocking down people's
Mm-hmm.
doors, telling them that they can't have guns, going into their backyards, digging up caches of guns. If they don't answer or if something gets violent, you may have to shoot those people, or you
Mm-hmm.
may end up shooting those people, whether you have to or not. But that is such a scary thought when you think about that way back then in 2006, really in 2000, I guess 2005, yeah, 2006, when that war started, when all of a sudden he was the biggest threat, um, the boogeyman number two. And then we're like there, and these soldiers are doing all this stuff, and they're questioning it, but they can't really question it. They don't know what's really going on. They just know that they're being sent here, and they're kicking down doors. They got checkpoints. And look at all the stuff that is happening there, and you can see a lot of that stuff in David's 2013 2014 script, right?
Right.
So
It's the thing is that's what I was trying to say earlier too is everything that went on with the war on terror. It does come full circle.
right,
Um, Especially you get to see it when you start looking at the search history and things like this. It played a big part in David's life. It was the reason he joined the military, from what I understand. So, he wanted to, at the end of the day, he didn't necessarily want to be a soldier. You could tell that from his early films and what his dad and all this had talked about. This is the one good thing I will say the Gray State or the A Gray State will actually portray, which is David's early life. They did do a pretty decent job at portraying that He wanted to be a hero. That's what he wanted to be. He had this heroic image of himself of what was going to happen. He's going to go to Iraq or Afghanistan. He's going to go and he's going to go and kill Osama bin Laden. He's going to save the world, right?
Nice. Yeah.
You get this from pretty much every single one of his scripts. He's well, not his scripts, but his other productions he's been a part of. A lot of these, it shows a soldier, and he ends up saving the day, or ends up he ends up getting taken out by a bigger bad, or things like this. But basically, he ends up becoming either a martyr or he's a hero. Either
Right.
way. Even in his zombie one, I thought was really interesting too. It's the same thing. It's hero or martyr. This You're getting the same type of thing, and he does this through all of them. And even if you look at all of his other projects and all this, you get the same sense. That's He likes to write a hero's journey, and he was undergoing that himself. I think everybody does to some degree, anyways. But you get to see this even going through the timeline. You'll see it. He ends up going to Iraq. He discovers not really what he was going there to do. He wanted to, but that's not what the government had in mind for him.
That's right.
And he wakes up. He wakes up, and we get to see that, which is really interesting. Honestly, a life or like a story on his life would be interesting if that became a movie. Even I mean, I would definitely argue that would be an interesting film to see. But after we're able to, we've already been able to prove David is innocent, but if the actual facts were actually conveyed in the end, what happened, I mean, I think we're looking at another movie that's just like that one about what was his name? Chris, is a sniper. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh boy, I should know this guy.
The guy was an absolute badass. So
Yeah, I keep wanting
but
to say Klein, but it's not. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
The guy who
and
said
so
that,
we're
who claimed to sucker punch Jesse Ventura, but did not.
right.
Let's see. Oh, that's gonna
But
bother me if I don't
it's
figure
one
it
of
out
those
soon.
guys that's you see. I mean, soldiers. The thing is we got to see the same thing. A lot of the soldiers is just like you and I. They have the same
Chris
mentality. They just
Kyle.
get the extra
Chris
training.
Kyle. Yeah.
What was it?
Chris Kyle.
Chris Kyle, yeah, he's an interesting guy. He really is. But I think David and him, that's something they have in common. Is well, they were killed, but they were soldiers. They were excellent soldiers that they did what they were told to go do. Then when Chris Kyle is in a little longer than David, I believe, but basically he came back and he was scarred. Life was not the same for him, but he was he ends up. Let's be honest. I mean, I feel it this way at least. Heroes is what we got. You got guys that basically they were heroes, but they died heroes, and then in a way, I would say David died as a martyr. Um,
I probably
because
disagree with that just on Chris Kyle. I think he just because of what he did to Jesse Ventura. And of course,
well,
obviously, as a wrestling fan, I have a huge bias there, but I did follow
right,
that case closely. There was something very, very strange, and I also thought it was really weird that Chris Kyle died and how he died and all of that. That's a whole
right.
nother that's a whole nother
Oh yeah, no,
rabbit
it's
hole
it's
on
really
the show.
bizarre. His what we get to see from Hollywood, I don't think is. I mean, I don't think it was fully portrayed well. Um, and I've got questions about the case. We'll talk about that at some other
Sure,
time, of
sure,
course.
sure.
But it's one of those cases. It's like
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, but I
I mean,
get
I'm not. I
your
mean,
point. I think I understand
I
your point.
totally understand like the whole wrestling thing, but it's like I
That's
stopped
just
being a
a
fan of
joke, but
Jesse
yeah.
Ventura for a while after this whole. Now he's going after the Patriots essentially is what he's doing. That's why I'm like, I kind of have a problem with him now. So,
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, we had Donald Trump. He went and did some wrestling too. Let's be honest. But I mean, he's not any like Kane or Undertaker by any means, but still, um, it's we're seeing this kind of a thing, this kind of dynamic. We're seeing people that were very staunch, anti, uh, you know, crap that's going on. To all of a sudden now they're joining in on the crap. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean,
So
with Jesse Ventura, I was so happy that he started speaking out against the whole war, started speaking out against 911. I never saw him as like anti-patriot, anti-government, or anything like that. His
that's a
show I
new
thought
change.
was really really good. I haven't followed him since, the last couple years. So I don't know what he's talking about now or anything like. Ever since he moved to Mexico, I haven't really followed him. I do enjoy a lot of his books. I think he has a lot of great points. I know he's not. He was a Lutheran. And I was, we got married in a Lutheran church. I'm not a Lutheran or anything like that, but it kind of came out that he was kind of anti-God kind of stuff. So there is some issues, but
Right.
I do think he did a lot of great things for me personally to kind of help me wake up out of that trance that I was in. I felt like after September, after 9/11, I felt like I was in this weird trance. So I'm always curious to see how these soldiers who have served and they're being brainwashed more than us. But it's
I
like,
can I can
go
tell
ahead.
you from when I went through basic training, they do a lot of brainwashing.
Yeah,
They really try to ingrain these are bad people you're going after, even though they're just normal people, just like us a lot of the time.
right.
But they got to go and show you the nasty stuff, the really dark side. And I get why, but to some extent, not to the full extent. A lot of it's just like it's just overboard, and it's just like you're really trying to go and ingrain hate, and that's what I felt when I was going through a lot of their basic training stuff was just hate. And I didn't understand where the hate was coming from, and I started to really think about it while I was there. I mean, I was already on my way out at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. This is no, this is toxic. And I'm sure he probably saw more hardcore stuff. I'm sure he probably did because when I went in, that was like what 2009. So when I was going in, end of 2009, early 2010, I believe it was, and it was just not. And we saw David going in earlier than that, so the height of things. So
So
I'm
what's your
sure he
view?
saw some
And
crap.
yeah, this is way off topic. What's your view of the movie Full Metal Jacket? Any thoughts on that one? I'm curious.
I'm gonna be honest. I've only seen bits and pieces. I haven't actually seen the whole thing.
Okay,
So, but
you may
you know,
enjoy
I
that. Maybe
but
not.
I the one part I do kind of understand is one of the parts I've seen. I think it's one of the parts is probably the most infamous is the part where basically you're seeing the drill instructor really grilling people and getting
Yes.
in their face on this. I mean that happens, but they're trying to harden people. And I understand that they need to harden people up, but hate and hardening is they're two different things.
Right.
And for that, like that guy was a dick, but you know, like I said, I haven't seen the whole movie, so I haven't gotten to see every scene with the guy. But that whole scene, I was like, no, that's straight accurate right there. They will like grill you. They'll say some mean, nasty things to you. But that's what they have to do. They have to break you and then build you up.
Interesting.
I got some pretty harsh things said about me, things that aren't even true. But I've had things said that they're going to do some things to my mother,
Wow.
and things like that. And I was like, really? And I mean, I like it motivated me, but I mean, I was straight up like, this guy is saying some things that's going to make me leap at him. And I was like, I was like, he might have military training. I was like, but this is full on like crazy mode. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to handle it, Mr. Drill Instructor, but who knows? I mean, the guy also looked like Hitler. I mean, I didn't like that either. Literally
Yeah.
had the Hitler statue. Like, really? So, but no, I mean, it is something they do. I can respect that they have to tear somebody down to break them back up. Honestly, I think that should be a show though, right there. Right there. Does this affect somebody? And I think to some degree it does, but I think it didn't seem to have an effect on David too much from what we could see. He was still, as I saw him before, he was a very creative individual. When we're seeing the early stuff from, that's like I said, the only thing the A Gray State actually did do right was the early stages, and we get to see that part of David. And David doesn't seem to really change a great deal between then and then when he's in the military. After he comes back, you see he's a lot more reserved. He goes from being this kind of like pretty carefree, happy-go-lucky guy, wanting to he's got these big plans. He's going to be a hero. Gets in the military. You see the slight change. It's not as much I'm going to be a hero. He's like I'm gonna write my songs. I'm gonna sing my songs. I'm gonna be this guy. I'm gonna keep to myself. Maybe party every now and then. Who knows if he did or not? But it's one of those things. He became a little more reserved, and then we got out. It's just reserved. He's a lot more to himself even than then, and that's something we can see through that that film through the clips they shared, which they like to go and clip hard. Of course, we already know that,
Yeah.
including audio because why not? Um, Jerks. But that's just something that they do a good job at that. They try to really portray him as he's this good guy. The thing is, I don't think it was a full on attack against, and that's something I don't know. You and I are going to disagree on this or not, but
Sure.
I don't see that film as something that people shouldn't watch. I think this is something they should watch. For a lot of people, and I've talked to quite a few people on this, when they first come to the case, like, so what does everybody think about this, right? I tell people go watch it. It is a sham overall because it does bear down on soldiers. And it says, well, if you're essentially what I got from it, it came off this way, very strong to me. It looked like it was bashing the military, and it's basically saying any soldier that comes back from war is going to have PTSD. That's what it felt like it was saying. I was like, that's not necessarily true. There's a lot that do, but not all of them do. I actually have family that came back. They saw shit. They're not scarred like that. At least, they don't have any direct signs. You ask them about it, they'll talk to you about it. They tell you it's uncomfortable for them to do it, but they need to do it. It's part of their coping mechanism. They cope by explaining what's going on, and they explain war is not a pretty thing. This is the kind of stuff that happened. These are the things I've witnessed.
Right.
I've heard some shit. I'm just saying, I've heard some shit. It is pretty dark. As any military vet will probably tell you about war, it is pretty horrible. It's the stuff that your nightmares have nightmares of. So you see a lot of things that you thought, oh no, this will never happen, right? Right. Kids literally strapping a bomb on and going and trying to go and bomb your Humvee, and you have to shoot them down. It's things like that, and or mothers who will literally, they're pregnant and all this, and they'll come up strapped with bombs. It's just things like this you wouldn't normally see. Like, are you going to see a pregnant woman out there gangbanging? When I say gangbang, okay, I probably shouldn't use that term. Being a gangbanger, right? Somebody that's involved with gang activity. You're not going to see them generally running out and trying to go and shoot people up. No, you're going to see them generally. They're going to be kept away from a lot of that. Not all the time, of course, but you're going to see it more commonly through war like that when you're dealing with like insurgents and all this. But
Yeah, no,
I've been looking at that for some time too.
I kind of joke about it, with oh, don't go see it. You don't want to see it, but I mean, you're definitely right. Like people, need to see it. I don't think there's anything wrong with watching it. I
Right,
think it people seeing that it's actually helped this group because people go
right.
see it and they're like, what the heck did I just watch? So I don't see anything wrong with that. I think when and there's always going to be some people that watch it and say, yeah, you know what, this makes sense to me. Yeah, David's
Right.
guilty on that. So you're always going to have different people that see it, but yeah, I think you're definitely right. People should go see it. There's nothing wrong with watching it. And if that's all that you're looking for, if you're looking for something for David to be guilty, and you don't want to look at the actual evidence of the bullets and the
Right.
DNA and all that stuff,
Absolutely.
maybe that's it for you. If that brings
Well,
you
I would just say if
closure,
somebody's looking for David to be guilty, then they shouldn't be looking at this case. Because David's not guilty. I mean, they should be looking at the actual material itself rather than just watching a movie about it. But if you're looking for somebody to be guilty, you're not going to find that here. David is not guilty. Like we talked about earlier with the mold, it's impossible for him to have done it. Mold, literally, science. Those people that are trying to say, David's guilty, David's guilty. Well, I would question: Do you do the follow the science crap that Dr. Faucisms is talking about here, or are you actually following the science and seeing, oh no, this is just a whole lot of it. It's just it's an economic shit. That's all they're trying to do. I mean, we can see this. Anybody that follows the science, truly follows the science, will see David didn't do this. Mold proves that completely impossible. Literally
yeah,
goes for Nia, David, Kamel. And Kamel was
yeah,
shot multiple times in the head. So
yeah, and people
can't go with the
should,
pack theory because how does she shoot herself in the head and then do it again? And then on top of that, where's all the other blood? I mean, we can go into it, but I mean, we do
sure,
this pretty much every single time. There is no way David did this. There's no way, and even then, it's like, where's the blood? So where did they die at? Where's the trash? We
yeah,
know that he was taken down and then he was taken back up, right? So where is everything? Um, but what's interesting about that movie, I just really wanted to say though,
Sure.
it is my counter argument for it as well. It is a sham. It is an absolute sham. They just try to paint David in a bad light at the same time. You know, just my review of that movie is it is good for the beginning, not for the end, because the end itself, they've got everything wrong. All the facts, they're not reading the facts. They're making up a story. They've literally just made a fiction. You know, they used this guy's life, smeared him so heavily through the mud. They even tried to smear you and Dan. You know, I mean, they were just attacking people. That's all they were doing. You got to look at the connections with those people, of course, that were behind the film, and then you start seeing some interesting little connections here. You're like, oh, okay, so you didn't like David because he put your group's symbol in his trailer. That's nice. Hey, Rick, how's it going? Um,
Hey,
but
Rick.
yeah, it's a fascinating film, Bill. I think
Yeah, it
it's
looks
what's one of the
good.
biggest and best parts about that film is
Hmm.
the fact that they were able to get a hold of all of David's like home videos when he was young.
Hmm.
You know, and because we get to see these things, I wish I'm gonna be honest, just for the case sake, I would like to be able to see these films. Reason being, because then we get to see David pre-war. We get to see him when he was, you know, the happy-go-lucky teenager, and then he
Right.
grows up, and we get to see that personality shift. So was he always an ENTJ? I believe I got him as, or is he, or was he like more introverted? You know,
Hmm.
looking at his personality type would be fantastic as well, because then we can see a shift there. Is there going to be another great shift? Well, we know that he talks about a shift in his journal. So was there going to be a great shift? Um, you know, things like this. So it's he sheds a lot of his baggage very quickly, and we see that. We
Yeah.
can see that from his journal. We can see, you know, how we get to see from a gray state. You see him shed things, and so I don't think that was like something like he was becoming this monster. No, he's not a monster. He was just a normal human being. He didn't do it. You know, it's impossible for him to, like I said. But it's you also got to see a glimpse of everybody else around him, which is also
Sure.
very interesting. You know, those alleged friends and family and all this that are around him. You know, you get to see what they thought of him based on, you know, with the camera in front of him. But we get to see some other things when you look at the actual case. You get to see everything else. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's a great point. Any footage before he went into the war and then compared to, what he's like after, I think that would really help people to kind of see, was there this massive change? Was there this PTSD thing that we keep hearing about? Because unless we really look at how he was before the war, it's really hard for me to really gauge the PTSD thing. Now, the reason why I stray from the PTSD thing is just because, first of all, because of my knowledge, my lack of knowledge on on PTSD, how I've seen so many different soldiers just be accused of it. And so it's kind of like, okay, it can be something very lazy. Nobody ever talked about David having PTSD until after these things happen. You never hear about
mm-hmm.
that. And even some of the people, Danny August Mason, when he's talking with Ben Swan, he doesn't he Danny August Mason basically says, well, we could all have PTSD. So even he's kind of backing from that PTSD theory. PTSD is real, but to just throw it out there because you have nothing else, it just seems like they're just trying to throw everything and just say that's what this movie did to me. They're trying to throw everything out there. So after watching this came out in 2017, so they probably interviewed Dan and myself in 2000 in the summer of 2016. So everything was still kind of new, but after watching that, it was kind of like this really. We wanted to give the other side. So I think you're right. People need to see this. This is the side here. This is the side that says David Crowley is guilty. Watch this film. That is what they're saying. Look at the cast of characters, aside from Dan and myself, probably, and everybody else is pretty much saying that. I mean, everyone that
Right.
I'm looking at here, there's nobody, yeah, maybe Michael O'Donnell, maybe Michael Boggio. I think they really get a bad hand in that film. But I think just about everybody else is
Yeah,
pretty much
and you
saying
can tell
David
they're
is guilty.
longer.
Yeah, and you can watch Dan Hannon's, or you can listen to it when Dan Hannon talks to Michael Boggio, and it's completely different from the way that the two mics are in this film. It's almost like
Right.
it seems like it's two completely different people. You know, if you watch that film, you would think
Hmm.
that they thought David was guilty and crazy and blah blah blah. But if you listen to what Dan Hennon chats with him on, it's like no, there's something else here. There's something else going on here. So that was the real thing. It was kind of like this is the theory here. So the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group, we are that other side. Those are the only two sides that I really see that I would take seriously. I wouldn't take any other side seriously. I would look at this. I would look at what they say here in this film, and then I would look at what we say in the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. I don't really see any
Right.
other sides to it.
Mm-mm. No, because then you're going to have trolls, which is really the other side, and yeah, that's not the case either. Because that side's been, already shoved down the stairs multiple times. Like, no, you're wrong. Let me prove you wrong. Just keep knocking them down. They don't know what they're talking about. So, but even then, this the other side when it comes to this is they don't give enough proof. And from a criminal justice standpoint on this, I would say they don't have enough there to do anything with.
Do they give any
Like what they
proof?
bring, yeah, they can't prove him guilty. Like they literally see when I watched it before I even found the group,
Hmm.
and I was like, he's not guilty. He's literally not guilty, and I can show all these reasons why. You know, they don't show a great deal from the crime scene either. Um, they like to go. I believe they mentioned just the Allahu Akbar. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I believe they do things like mention that. And, oh yeah, he did this, but where is your proof of this?
Right.
You know, when they're interviewing what's his name, the cat lover, news
Tom
guy.
Lydon. Tom Lydon.
Yeah, Tom Lydon. Yeah, Catboy. So his
Your cat's best friend here.
yes, yes, he loves cats.
He loves cats.
Um, oh, I'm terrible. But he see his stuff. He was also apparently given all this extra info, but and it was all allegedly on accident. See, I don't think it was.
Hmm.
And we're seeing all this other info that was given allegedly, to other people that was, like for instance, you had that BCA film, right? That wasn't even supposed to be. You could see right there that shouldn't even been out, you know.
Right.
And it even directly says it on there. Yet it was, and we've got access to it now.
Right.
So my question is how much of this did they do on accident? How much was just done in secret? And I think more often than not, I think most of it feels like it was just done in secret, and they didn't want this coming out to other people. But
Right.
it's other people trusting other people, and really those other people being not very trustworthy, and them sharing. And I'm not going to mention names, um, but the big pony in the room, he he gets a website up and all this and gets all this information out. I'm curious about um, really who he got it from exactly, and who they who they're basically like how they got the information. So, but end of the day, I mean, I'm thankful we got the information. We got to see the fake document and everything. So we are definitely getting off topic.
Sorry about that. I have a
Oh, it's all
tendency to
good.
do that,
I'm just as
especially.
guilty, man.
So, getting back here on topic then, so we know that after David was deployed to Iraq in early 2006, July 5th, 2006, Kamel and her family moved to Hewitt, Texas. And
Right.
on November 11th, 2006, David was transferred to Fort Hood, Texas, which is pretty interesting because that's kind of like on the way out, I kind of think, right? I could be wrong
Hmm.
on that. I kind
Yeah,
of like,
that's usually what people are doing on their way out. Is
yeah.
they get transferred there, just kind of finish up whatever time they have left, and then they're usually out.
And then he met David, or David met his future wife on October, or sometime before October 22nd, 2008. David met Kamel in a bar in Waco, Texas. Now, here's a strange thing. This is always strange to me. 6 weeks after meeting, they get married. That's a
Hmm.
short time. Now, every person's different. Every couple is different. I've met some people that they met, within a week and they were married and they're still married now too. So, but to me, it's like,
Right.
wow, that seems like you're kind of jumping the gun. Like you either know or I was just very curious about that. Like any thoughts on that? How quickly they got married?
I mean, me and my wife were married rather quick too. So, I mean, I
Okay.
get it, but we weren't married like that. We were married like, let's see, we were married like, it's less than a year.
Yeah, you better know
A
this,
little
man.
more.
I hope she's not listening. She's gonna call
No,
you out on
it
that
was
one.
less than a year. See, we got married under that time. I'm just trying to figure out how do you want to say it exactly.
Sure.
We were married less than a year after meeting. We hit it off just right off the bat. We decided, really early on after we met that we just wanted just be her and I, and then things got more serious and decided let's get married. And it's here we are. We're 7 years into our marriage, so
Nice.
yeah. So I mean, it happens. There's for some people it's pregnancy that gets them into that point. For me and my wife, it was just we just love each other. You know, every couple's gonna have issues too, so it's not like that wasn't a real thing. We've had issues, um, but it's one of those things that there's just some people they just click, you know.
Hmm.
And we can even see this with David and Kamel. Like this is the big thing, which is really interesting, is when you see the pictures of her looking at David, she's still in love. She's
Yeah.
still like it's like honeymoon phase almost, like that type of level of love. It's just like they can't get enough of each other. And if you read David's journal, the same thing. You still see how much he loves her. Um, yeah, there's the intimacy parts in it, but regardless, you're seeing a whole lot of intimacy there. What does that mean for this as a whole? They still love each other. I mean, especially if you're seeing, that paired with him talking about how much he loves his wife and his child and all this, and you see that relationship, that whole dynamic. You see how that even changes. It gets better and better and better as he writes. But you also get to see all the other things going on with this guy and them getting married so quick. Honestly, I mean, I can see where it might be like kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's getting to be kind of a common thing. And yeah, it doesn't always work out. I mean, I've had friends where, in fact, I don't think I've got but like, I think yeah, like one friend that is still married to somebody he had met and then all of a sudden things just super fast, and then they went from like point A to point like J, and then they went from point J to point Z. Getting married
Hmm.
um, within just months, just a couple months. So I get it, and I've seen it, but I mean, more often than not, I see a lot of those types of things. They usually fail. So just because they didn't take that time to get to know each other. But David and Kamel is like you look at their personality type, and this is like I was just talking to Catherine about yesterday. Um, they're a power couple. They are the definition of a power couple. The reason I say this is because you look at their dynamic; they work so well together. It's so hand in hand. She helps out with David's script, right? She's helping. She reads it, proofreads it. You can tell he's excited because got popcorn made for it and everything. Oh, she's done with it. Oh man, she loved it. He's just super pumped about it. You can tell he writes about it for Caroline, so it's important to him. And you can see through a Grace Day even they show that too, that they are a power couple. They work so well together. She's in love with David and David's in love with her. They fail to show that part, but the other way, they don't talk about that. They talk about how she was like just so in love with David. She doesn't give him the look of somebody that's being abused. you know she doesn't look at him like this is somebody I'm concerned with. No, you see it in the journal. You see all these other things. We've got the documents. We can see it. She was not concerned with David, really.
Right.
We don't know what their issue was, per se. We don't know what happened, if there really was an event over at the reunion. We don't know. Um, I still have not found proof of that. So I've always see is I believe it's a little snippet. There's like two little snippets saying there's something wrong, but we don't know what it is for sure.
Right.
So I believe I still left that part in the timeline, so I do apologize for that. It's not supposed to be in anymore. But
Yeah, I would think
yeah,
one thing to add in the timeline is when they were married. So they got married. The paperwork was filed on May 14th, 2008, and the marriage was official on May 22nd. So that may be good to add in there,
Right.
in here.
And that was on 2009 or was it
2008.
2008?
2008.
Oh wow. What?
Yeah.
Wait, in 2008 in May?
Yep. Yep. I got that in my book. So I think some of the stuff that you don't have between 2007. Just a couple things we could probably add in
Oh,
there too. And that's what I love about this timeline is it's kind of ever growing, it's ever building. And the main thing, like you say, is just we want to get it accurate. So, we
right.
want to make it as best for people who just want to kind of know.
I just
Um,
want to go and clarify. You said
sure.
May 2008, right?
Correct. So the paperwork was filed on May 14th, 2008, and the marriage, and they were officially married on May 22nd, 2008.
But that's before when they met.
No, they met on
October 22nd, 2008. Well, it says before that, but oh, okay. I see. I see.
yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. I got that now. So you've got the exact date. Okay. Never mind. I had to go and read my own stuff. I'm like, wait a second. Okay. It says before. That's right. So I'll have to go and adjust this. If you got that exact paperwork, I mean, I could even include a picture so we got proof for it
Yeah, I,
too.
I think in the crime scene photos, I think it does have their marriage certificate is one of the crime scene, and I think that's where I pulled this up from actually.
Okay. I'll double check, and then if I don't see anything, I'll message you and let you know. I can't find it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can definitely. I
Almost
think I
expect it.
Yeah, I think it's in the 464 photos. It's one of the photos in David's office. It's like they have the marriage certificate there.
Right.
But if you have trouble finding it, I can definitely help you with that.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's go back here. Yeah, and then there you go. Okay. Yeah, we need to add that he was stop loss, et cetera, et cetera. Well, no, maybe not because Kamel became pregnant sometime between October 22nd and November 2008. Early 2009, Kamel received the Rising Young Professional Award from Baylor University. Um, June 23rd, 2009, David was just discharged from the U.S. military after serving a total of 39.5 months on foreign soil. And we do have that document if people do want to go and look at his DD 214 record. We do have that on the website, on my website here too. And I think it's at the very, very bottom. It's under the miscellaneous, under the other documents. But there's David's military record, and you can pretty much see everything that we know, everything that I know pretty much is pretty much here about his military service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Will's right though. I mean, that's one of the good things about watching Eric Nelson's film is because you can get, it kind of sums a lot of that stuff up. It's kind of good up to a point. Maybe they should have just stopped in the first 30 minutes or something. That may have been a good film there, but July 25th, 2009, Kamel purchased a Springfield Armory XD 40 handgun from the gun zone, and that is we do have the actual document of that too, which I think is weird because then it's later it's that David sells it, so I don't know how that works. I guess because they're married, it doesn't really matter. That was kind of my
Right.
thinking process on it. It doesn't matter because just because Kamel buys it and David sells it, it's not that big of a deal. I guess I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it's fair.
Okay, August 6th, 2009, Rania Crowley was born. That's a pretty big date there, I would think
Mm-hmm.
too.
I mean, she does, take part in the crime scene, I suppose.
I would think so.
I would think so. One would hope not, but unfortunately, we know otherwise.
Yeah, let's see what I have here.
Yeah, these between ones, I'm still trying to get those cleared up. So once we can get those cleared up, we'll have it a more exact, or at least closer to
Okay.
exact on everything. If not fully exact, I would hope for that one, but there's a
Yeah,
few of
sure.
them here.
No, and I think a couple things that could be added here to when she was born, just some, just a couple extra things that may want to be, maybe people don't care about this. I care about this stuff, but we can see what time she was born. Maybe we can add that. We can even add her weight. and her, which I think she's kind of small too, five
Yeah,
pounds,
she
11
definitely seemed
ounces.
rather small. I mean, I was comparing with my own kids, and
Yeah.
my kids are big, so you know, my daughter even being around Renea's age, so um, it's a little older actually now, but um, yeah, I mean that's exactly why this case hit so hard with me too. It's my daughter, but I was like, well, shit, this could happen to any of us. So,
That's right.
but no, I definitely agree. There needs to be some more added for sure in the past. I've just been focusing more on all the stuff we have currently,
Sure. Sure.
with the 2013 on, and then just seeing what we can add.
Yeah,
So
I could probably help add some things. I don't know if you just want me to send you notes or if whatever you think is you. We
either
could
way,
talk about that later.
it's
Um,
I just use Microsoft Word for it and just I type it up and then turn it into a PDF. So
okay. All right.
yeah, so I mean, if you want to send them, that's fine. If not, I can send you the file. You can always send it back, something like this. Either way.
Okay.
So
All right. Let's see the crowd. Yeah, so they moved to Minnesota in between August 6th and September 18th, 2009. September 18th, 2009, Angela Lum created an AT&T cell phone account for David. So this is where another thing here, because this kind of shows how close that the families were, right? I always try to look for
right,
things that kind of like, okay, how close was David to this family? And the more I look at Kamel's side, it's like David was really, really close with them, super
right.
close with them.
Yeah, you
Um,
got in very close with him. We can see that. I mean, for crying out loud, he was arm wrestling Anjem,
right,
in a restaurant.
right.
I mean, I don't think there was any way in hell Anjem was going to beat David, but besides the whole let's go and pose, I think that's really what it was. David was just kind of like looking like, okay, let's do this. But they were close. They were very close. They had to have been, and um, I found that interesting myself. I even posted over on my Discord server for it because end of the day, it's like that matters. You get to see that relationship have its ups and downs throughout. Right before David and the Crowleys, their deaths, you get to see that.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's four years where
hmm
he was paying for David's phone bill.
hmm
That's I don't know.
he wanted to help out. He
3 years.
wanted, he knew. I mean, this could have been. Was there a struggle? Who knows? But um, he wanted to help. He wanted to help how he could. He appreciated David. Obviously, he didn't care too much that at least at this point, did not care too much that David and Camille were married after meeting so quickly, and also having Grania so quickly.
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah. It kind of sounds like both sides of the family were kind of like, all right, well, this is where things are, and we got to make the best of it.
hmm instead of like he wasn't a traditionalist, obviously, um, because then you got to look at like traditional um, Muslim households. It's that would have been like just like nah, no, get out of here. A lot of the time. I mean, I've had some traditional Muslim friends when I was in high school and even in college. I had a few, um, and I got to really know the families and all this, and a lot of the times it came down to like they're either traditional or they're modern. When I say modern, I mean like they're a little more progressive with things, a little more lax on a lot of like these modern things like getting married out of wedlock or not married out of wedlock, having kids before you're married and all this, and
Mm,
then having kids and then just no longer being a part of that the other person's life, breakups and things like this, and them just being like okay. But then you've got the other ones where it's like I've literally seen this where it was like, oh, you're having sex with your partner. Oh yeah, you're out of the family, you know, and watching that blow up in that person's face even further with that person just be like, yeah, I'm done with you, kind of thing. It's just like, oh man, um, that kind of thing that happens,
right.
and I think that's something we should be taking note of when it comes to this alleged Muslim connection, right? Um, this obviously was not the dad being upset. I don't think Anjem is tied into this at all. I've actually heard a couple people actually say that now, that Anjem could have done this. I'm sitting here like, why and how, and no, just a whole lot of no. I mean, I've heard that side of things, so yeah, but I don't. That's the thing. Was this a um, a an act of hate based on faith, or is this done for some other reason? I mean, I would definitely argue it's probably not faith based, but
Yeah, if it was faith-based, you would expect to see something here, but like you're saying,
right,
even as early as 2009, and of course, back then, I didn't know that Kamel had gone to a Christian college either.
hmm
So that was kind of weird too. It's like, oh, okay, well, they obviously don't like really have a big issue with that then. And there's
right,
probably no Muslim college they can send their kids to or whatever, but they could have sent them to just Texas State or something like that, obviously. But
right.
why send them? What type of values did the Christian college have that they thought, or was it just because of what the courses that they offered at the Christian college? But I just always found that interesting.
Right.
And so you don't think there's any Muslim hatred, you
No,
know?
see, I think, see, the thing is it just seems too obvious. In
Mm.
these types of things, like you can see actual hate crimes. There's plenty of those you can see online. You can go over the cases themselves. I don't have any off the top of my head. I can just be like, oh yeah, just go look at this one. But you can look up like Muslim hate crimes in the United States. You'll find them. Um, but
And
when
in
it comes
Minnesota
down
too.
to it, there's usually like telltale signs.
Yeah.
For instance, why is a hate crime occurring? Right? Why are um, these the believers in the Islamic faith, why are they attacking? Why are they doing this kind of thing? There's usually something there. If they're doing it for their faith, they're probably going to go off of some kind of a tenet or law, right? Like for instance, you know, um, typical one we'll see, and it's usually publicized when we see this in like through movies and things like this, is stoning.
Mm.
Um, that's something that occurs pretty commonly. If you were to go and look at like the traditionalists over like the really hardcore ones over in like Saudi Arabia and things like this, then you start seeing things like beheadings, public beheadings by sword. You see that kind of stuff going on. This doesn't scream any of that. Where are the stones? Where's the sword? Where is all this? We don't see any of this. All we've seen that could even be something potentially leading to that, which I would still believe it would probably be in Islamic. They wouldn't probably put this um, in English. Is submit to Allah. That's all we've got on there. Um, or sorry, not submit to Allah, but Allahu Akbar, and then we got submit to Allah or whatever. Um, but it's the thing is a lot of people are trying to say, well, those two things they're in the household. Well, a we can go and look at the handwriting. Does that match David? So I've already done an extensive research on this. It does not appear to be David's. All right. Parts of it do, but once again, if somebody's trying that hard to duplicate them, you have to look at pen pressure and all this, and that doesn't really add up with the rest of David's writing style. Even if it was rushed, we've got to see some things that look to be a little more rushed from David,
Right.
and it does not appear to be. Um, so this is somebody that's trying to copy his handwriting, is what it looks like to me. And because there's a lot of letters that don't match, and if it was David's, they'd be more consistent. Any handwriting analyst could tell you that. So don't necessarily take my word on it, of course, but then you've also got the people that are trying to say, well, his handwriting doesn't match the stuff on the wall. Paint with a brush, then tell me your handwriting, um, matches what you just did with the brush, like a big brush, right? It's
Sure.
not going to match generally. It's going to be very, very far off. It's probably going to look a little more sloppy. Um, I mean, there's some like I can reproduce my handwriting through a brush. I can't. Well, I'm an artist, and that's what I do. I've learned how to do that. But we're not looking at some creative individuals here with a brush. We're looking at people um, that probably did this that were trying to go and duplicate, and they probably watched too much CSI, right, or NCIS. These are things that I've been taking note on very, very critically. Is these are everything that was done in this case. It just seems to be done like it's somebody that watched CSI and is trying to really frame David, and they're trying their damnedest. But it's like anybody who looks at this case for more than like 20 minutes can see that David didn't do this. They're going to go and catch. They're going to catch wind of this. This just seems little too good to be true. Um, so yeah, there's that. But I don't think it's faith based at all. We're not seeing any of those dynamics that are involved in the case at all. So
Interesting. Next you have here,
sorry, how's it going?
Rick is freezing. Rick is outside freezing at the moment. Well, come on in, Rick. Yeah, come back
Yeah.
inside, and you may feel a little bit better. But um, okay, so November 8th, 2009, David and Kamel both completed their permit to carry class, and we do have a whole section up there. It's a 12 pages. It just has all of the stuff that we have, I guess, about their guns, and you can see exactly November 8th. The
Nice.
interesting thing is who was doing that. So Eric Packizer is a guy who was not only in David's film, or David or in A Gray State. I think he's kind of he pops up in there, but he was a big part of the Rise, A Gray State, or Gray State, the Rise, which is a kind of like a complimentary documentary to what David was doing with his scripts. So that guy's kind of heavily featured there. Doesn't, I haven't really heard too much about him after that or whatever, but he was pretty much one of the guys. But he was the one that kind of that certified this. Trying to see what was this in Minnesota? I think yeah, it was in Minnesota there. Okay, interesting. All right, so that's good. And then Hothead Productions created LLC was created January 7th,
I want to stop
2010.
there for a second, real
Sure.
quick. This is where we got the connection to the economics, the financial side of things,
Okay.
because he's got two different bank accounts. One is Hothead, just like how it is up on the screen with one word,
Mm-hmm.
and there's another one where it's Hot Space Head
Mm.
Productions. Yeah, so we got two different accounts there too, which is also very, very fascinating. Hey, Catherine, how's it going? So
Hey,
it's
Catherine.
I find that fascinating because
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see, was there another LLC that was created, or was that just a banking mistake?
Mm.
That why there's two different accounts. So I've been having questions about that, and I still can't shake it. So I'm like, okay, and I can't find much on it, so I'm gonna have to go and start calling. I think so.
Okay, and
See if I can do it.
I guess you pulled that from their
Yep,
financial records. It's
I have it up.
267
I
pages.
have it up on the screen right here.
Cool.
There's Hothead Productions LLC checking and savings. Then you got Hot Space Head Productions LLC checking and savings. And the it gets interesting in 2014
Mm-hmm.
in July because that's what we got. We go back to and we get to see the singular Hothead, much less money than the two separate Hothead Productions, where that's got like a ton more money. And in fact, when this account closes, this initial, just a singular Hothead word, closes, we get to see that go into um, the Hot Spacehead Productions account.
So wait,
So
so Hot Space Head closes at some point, and then it becomes Hot
no,
Head.
no, no, just Hothead, just the singular,
Mm-hmm.
becomes the two words. They basically, so
Oh.
that we get to see, and this all corresponds with the whole David and Mikhail dissolving Hothead. It corresponds to that like perfectly.
What's the date when that change
So
is made?
I have it on the financial records. Everybody can see it on my screen right here. It's between the 14th and 20th is when we see the last, like this is when this account's got money, and then after that we can go. Let me see. I mean deposits. I'll go and look it up right now.
Curious about that date because they never. I mean, there's. I think it's still active. They're still going. I think the only one they
Yes,
shut down was the
well, it
bullet
wouldn't be
exchange.
active now. I don't think. I think they would have already closed it, but it goes negative to like $6 or 5.99, and then when it ends, we actually see David actually fix the account, makes it go positive, and then it goes back down to negative 199 at the end of December 2014. But let's see.
I
Or
mean,
this
looking at
account
this looks like they're both still active at the same time, right? Or no?
Yeah, they
One
are.
am I
They're still
missing? Yeah.
there.
Okay.
This one is still there, but it's got no other activity really, other than
Okay.
just these. David will go throw money in just to make it go positive. I'm not sure why he was keeping it either.
Hmm.
Well, that's a good idea there, Rick. I think that's a damn good idea. um, yeah, it's there. There's weird things going on with these two accounts too.
Two different accounts. Yeah, Catherine is saying she thinks that's two. Yeah, I've never noticed I never noticed that there were two Separate
Oh yeah.
accounts, really.
Well,
That's
just
pretty
like I mean, I don't think a lot of
interesting.
people noticed all these other accounts that they had. There was David's checking and his savings, then David and Kamel's savings, then we got Kamel's checking. Then we've also, of course, got the Crowley family savings.
Hmm.
Um, so there was all that. Plus, I mean, all the different weird things that occurred with that. You can see the ups and downs and all that counts when it occurs on the spreadsheet put together. So um, it is a little weird seeing some of this stuff though, for sure. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting to have
interesting
two
thing about
different
Hothead
accounts.
Productions, right?
So, okay, so just to be clear, because I still want to figure this out. So, two hotheads.
Yes.
When was the first one created? When was the second one created? Do we know?
I don't know when they were created. That's the
Okay.
thing. It just goes back to 2000. Let me bring it up again. It
So
goes
they're
back to
both
July
active.
2014.
They're
That's
both
as far
active.
back as we've got.
Okay.
So I gotta go look at the thing and see exactly when it's created. I don't know if it actually had a creation date on there that we could see. I could double
But they're
check.
two separate accounts.
Yeah, they're two exactly separate accounts.
And one has a lot more money, according to the
Yes.
spreadsheet we can see.
So when we see in July,
Mhm.
we see $671.03 is what the hothead, this is just going to be the singular. Hothead Productions checking and savings had it 671.03 in checking, 380.48 in savings. Then you go to the two words, Hothead Productions checking and savings. Checking had
Jeez.
$17,693.64, and the savings had $1,319.08.
It's a big difference.
It is, it is. And my
Huge.
question is was David prepping this before? Because if we find a hot Spacehead Productions LLC before July that was created, then I can assume um, I am excited for that interview as well. I'm curious as to when he started this because if he started this prior, then it means he was prepping. We know David's a planner.
Hmm.
We get to see this. He was prepping. We could see it in the journal, trying to get rid of Danny August Mason. Let's get him off this project. And he was trying to go and prep that, and so he knew months in advance. And the thing is, what's going to be interesting about that we're going to go and find through the phone records as I'm still working on it, is seeing that dip in communication between Danny August Mason
Hmm.
and David there. So when we see that, I'm like 99% sure, as I haven't fully verified this yet, but I'm pretty damn sure that it occurs when he goes to Hollywood. He comes back, no more Danny August Mason. Basically, he's already trying to go and get rid of that. So
Damn.
I'm curious.
Hmm.
So, but I think
That's
that's probably what
huge.
happened. Is he
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I need to move everything away from these guys. Mitch Heil, he doesn't seem like he's got a whole lot of animosity towards him either. So I think he was just trying to move away from it because if you listen to the way their conversation went, essentially from Mitch Heil's standpoint, he
Hmm.
basically said David didn't really do everything except when you listen to what David explains he's done and what you even I think you read on his LinkedIn, he did everything for that company. What did Mitch Heil do? That's my question. And I would love to go and have an interview with Mitch Heil and actually talk to him about David. I think any of us would. I don't think he'll ever do it, but the thing is, end of the day here, you know, what didn't David do? And we got to see everything David does. There's so many people that will literally double down and say, no, this is what he did on the production, right? This is what he did for this. David's teaching me this, or David's doing that, and David's doing this. David talks about the production in his journal. He tells everybody in there, he's just like, look, I did everything. I actually had to pick up the slack of all of these guys. I have to do all of this extra work. And he's already, at that point, he's questioning, why do I even have these people around? And even comes out later and even says that too. He's like, yeah, why would I pay this guy $50,000 a year just to do a couple of jobs here when I could just do it myself and probably do it better? There's no point to it. He's like, I'll hire professionals. Basically, what it feels like he's alluding to. He's like, we're going to move to California. We'll get a professional crew. Um, and so we see that was the plan. So, um, but yeah, that's what I think was going on here. He was prepping, and I would love to see when he stops talking to Mitch, um, or when the conversations dip. Because, like I said, the phone records are going to be the interesting part when it comes to relationships.
Mm.
We
Very
see
good.
that David is talking to a bunch of these guys pretty regularly early on, and then you get to see who he's not talking to anymore at a certain point. We don't even see Mason Hendricks pop up until like March. So that's another interesting one. But we see his conversation. It corresponds with the journal with Joseph Seaton. Just boom, no more conversation. Or Joseph Seaton will message him, and he's not responding.
Yeah.
We know he's not texting, and we know he's not calling. So, and like I was telling Catherine yesterday, it's like the only thing we're not going to be able to see, and this is the only thing that could possibly save Chris Peck on this whole messaging thing, is if that was all done. Is I know you and I we talked about it. Is if that was done through Facebook Messenger. And so if that would be the only thing that doesn't show up through history, if you will, unless he was using an app on his phone. But it looked like a lot of the Facebook stuff was used mostly on his. Uh, 1 second. How is this? Um, but basically, it was all done through his computer. So that's my question: is was he just using that and then just he would message on there and just basically see what's kind of what's going
Then wouldn't
on
that
while he's on
show
the
up
computer?
on his digital, or do the digital records that we have only show like his search history and stuff like that?
Right.
I guess that'd be the other question. Yeah, we have his search history, right? But we don't really have like every website or every person, every communication that
Well,
he
we've only
had.
got
That's
like
not
a
here.
little short period of time with the
That's
search
true.
history, which
That's
I'm
true.
shocked. Why did they only do a search history for like not even a full month?
Well, and this could just be what they gave us, though, right? Or do these logs show that this is what they did? I guess that would be my
Right, and
question.
that's what I'm curious about. Is if they got more of his search history, let's go back as far as we've got. Right,
Right.
as far as they've got, we should have that. Why? Because that's going to also show what is David looking into. You know,
Right.
is David looking at things to go and prep to go kill his wife and kill? Well, we know he didn't do it, so why would he be doing that? That doesn't make any sense. But he's looking at, like, for instance, you'll see later on throughout the timeline, you get to see that he talked about, oh, bless you. He looks at things like, these massacres and stuff. Why is he looking at these massacres? Well, look at the movie he's making. You see the script change. Why else would he be looking this up? You know, I still think he should have went with a. I like this 2012 script better, I think, but just because there was a lot more going on, he had a lot. I felt that had potential to expand a lot more than his other one did. But I see what he's also why he switched to that one because then that you can turn in like a Sons of Anarchy type of show, if you will. Just very straightforward. This is the path versus having multiple different things going on at the same time. So I get it, but if you look at his newer script, this is where we get the script tie-in. Is that he's looking these things up to better his script. And he's probably even prepping to get his second script done. He's got his first one done. He's getting ready to go and ship that off, is what it looked like. So, or if he didn't ship it off already. So, as we know, he made several, um, U.S. Postal Service trips. So
Right.
we can see that directly through his financials. But yeah, it's a little interesting because you're seeing all these tie-ins with everything. That's what I loved about the timeline here is you get to see all of these things come together,
Yep.
and it just ties up in this neat little box. You can just, oh, okay, this is what was going on. So
Right. Now, as far as their the hothead, which is hot and head, two separate things.
right,
The first thing that they have here, be interesting to see how far back this actually goes. As far as what we can see for public videos, it is that zombie video that was January 31st, 2010.
mm-hmm.
It's about 1 minute. So this is when they're in school, right? This is when they're in that
I believe so. Yeah,
business school, the film school, which is, I mean, if you just look at, that's why it's like, the more I research David and like his past stuff that he's done, I'm going to give this one a like too. But um, man, it's like this guy, he had something there, and I mean, look at what he did with nothing, right? With just
right.
a small little budget. Can you imagine giving a guy like that like a big budget?
I mean, he was creative. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Very creative, yeah.
I think there's some of us that would say he had some creativity, but
But you have to put Mitch Howe in there too, because remember, they're partners, so we don't know how much Mitch is doing the camera work, or we really don't
right.
know. I believe Mitch Howe doesn't get a lot of credit either. I was just very shocked that Mitch Howe was so willing to hand over any rights or anything like that. That just shows me that maybe that guy has some creative stuff too, that
Well,
he's
see,
not
I
worried
started
about.
looking at him too, and it really, I mean, he does. He's creative, but when it came to everything, it seemed like Mitch was just trying to save his friendship.
I
You know,
agree.
because I mean, me and my friend Ilya, we did the same thing. You
Mm,
know, we went into partnership again as we were doing. I've explained that whole shebang with you before,
yeah.
with our comics. We didn't see eye to eye. Um, you know, we would talk about something. I think we're in full agreement, and he does something that's completely against what we just talked about. You know, it was a constant thing like this. Well, with David and Mitch, David, I think he might have been a little too controlling when it came to the whole thing, because Mitch seemed very, like, I would love to see what his personality actually is, like what it matches up to be in, you know, side by side with David's, because I think his is going to be a lot more kind of keep to himself. You know, he's going to be more kind of the follower, while David's got the more leadership qualities. Um, you know, from what I could find.
Mm,
You know, and I'm not trying to, like, you know, say David's like, you know, this amazing guy, because I mean, like I was trying to say here earlier, is I think he's creative, but do I think that he will be like the next Oliver Stone or anything? No, absolutely not. I don't even think he'd be even remotely close. But could he make some good quality creative stuff? Absolutely. Um, it's the same thing with me. I'm not gonna say, hey, I'm the next, you know, Andy Warhol or any of that. No, I mean, well, even then, I wouldn't want to be Andy Warhol. No, thank you. Creep. But you know, I'm not like this fantastic artist either. I can do work, and I mean, you've seen some of my work. I'm not the greatest, but you know, I'm not Jim Lee. I'll put it that way. That'd be the best way I can put it. I'm not Jim Lee. Am I going to be the next Jim Lee? No. Can I do some decent work? Yes. Can I write? Yeah, I can write. Am I the greatest though in any of this? No. David's in the same category as far as I'm concerned. He's good, but he's not. And I've got a feeling he could be great one day, but you know, he could have been. But he wouldn't be like, he doesn't have. I don't think he had the talent to be the next Oliver Stone necessarily. He would have to have some mentoring and all this, just like I would have to have mentoring, like a lot of mentoring to be the next Jim Lee. I don't see it happening. Um, you know, it's one of those things that, yeah, where he's at, using that, give him Hollywood production, you know, funding and all this kind of stuff, he would be good. But I think it would be, he'd probably get to like a Sons of Anarchy type of level, but I don't think it would be like Oliver Stone or Stanley Kubrick or anything like that. But
yeah, I mean, just looking at some of his work here, I mean, man, I don't
it's
know. I mean,
quality
I
though.
see
It
like
is good quality,
Save It
especially
Private Ryan.
considering
I mean,
the budget.
considering, yeah, I mean, this is 2010.
Right.
We didn't have 4K back then, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but
Oh
I
no, we
mean,
did,
we
but
did. Okay,
it's
maybe we did. I mean, that shows my knowledge of such
it's all
things.
good.
But
It's all good. But yeah,
but
I mean, it was new. That was the thing. It was just brand new. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know what cameras that they were using, what they did, how they filmed this stuff here, but it just
pretty sure it was DSLRs.
okay. That's good
But
stuff here. I mean, look at this. If I could stop that, and I wish I could go back and I want to see those credits there. But yeah, I mean, this is good stuff here that they just kind of filming here.
well, you can see it as choreography. As choreography, that is something I will definitely say. David and Mitch, they had that down. Their choreography, their fight scenes, all this, they are more realistic looking. You know, but
Yeah.
that's also what they specialized in. You know, so they're not doing like this. I'm sure what the fighting style is. They made a lot of these characters in like these big action movies they use, but they
Hmm.
don't use Jeet Kune Do, for instance. They don't use this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
They'll use things like, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it's an actual movie fighting style. Is it really all that great? No, not really. But when you start watching some of these action movies, you'll see the same fight choreographer or company will pop up with a lot of these companies. And well, David's straight up just like, no, no, let's keep it real, right? Let's keep the fight scenes like they're more real, you know. So Jeet Kune Do, if you use that in a fight, you're going to be a lot more offensive. I mean, you can get into martial artists breaking this down, but I mean, I'm sure they'll agree with me on this. You're going to be a far more offensive. You're going to get in, get that fight done, right? Um, you know, very very similar in my opinion to Muay Thai. You're just going to rush in and just whoop ass, and then, you know, get that done, take care of it. Um, but then you got like these other movies they're using like let's go and use Aikido and let's use Krav Maga. Well, Krav Maga, that's debatable. But it's one of those things. It's you're going to see these types of fighting styles appearing in movies. Why do they use them? There's been plenty of documentaries on why they use this specific couple different fighting styles because well, it looks a lot better on screen than some of these other ones, which almost look almost instantaneous, just done, one and done kind of thing. It's no different than, for instance, why do you see UFC fights? Why do they never really last, like 6 seconds? Like some fights, like there's fighters that last 6 seconds in the ring and they're already won. Beating guys that are like twice their size and stuff. Why don't we see that in film? Well, it's the same thing. It's not entertaining, and it all comes down to entertainment value. David's not showing that necessarily. But he presents it in a way that's still entertaining, which is that right there. I will say, he excels at. That is something like him being a fight choreographer, making it look more realistic in a military type setting. Oh yeah, no, I rate him very very highly. But even then, speaking on that, then you got to go and start looking at how people saw his company, how useful they found it. Well, look at every single one of the guys on there. They're saying all the same thing. You know, it was useful. It was very, very useful. And they
Right.
explained why. Could they have been, was this just because it was on film for them? Maybe, but I think a lot of it did come down to being truth. It was, you watch it, and you look at the quality, you're like, well, this is actually really good. It's very realistic. So, we really have a habit of getting off topic, though.
It's
Well, I
okay.
do.
I got
I
a, I
really
got a, I got a strong feeling we're going to
do.
be
Yeah.
doing a whole series on this here because we're still on page 2 of 37, and
Yeah.
we need to wrap
Well,
this up
it
here pretty
speeds
soon.
up though once we get past the past. I mean, that like the past has got some stuff in it for sure, but once you get into like 2014, it really starts to you start really seeing all the big stuff.
Sure. Yeah, no,
So
I think I mean this is why I really wanted to go through it and be very tedious here. I'm even noting a lot of things and I'm like, oh yeah, we need to add this. There's a lot of stuff here just before 2010 that we need
hmm
to really add in here, I think. And
yeah,
I'd be happy to help you just kind of do a little copy paste and kind of add it into this stuff to make it easier for you here.
sure.
Um, let's see. So the project began in 2000, November of 2010. So obviously he's going to meet Danny August Mason first. So this is like I think we were talking about this. When exactly did they meet? And I think you've asked me this a couple times, and I don't have a really good answer
Right.
here. There may be some like interviews out there where Danny Mason and David Crowley do answer that question. I think Crip Rick was also asking about what is gray state, and I think there's some great early talks out there where David Crowley and Danny Mason actually answer a lot of these questions that we may not have. So we may have to go and dig through some of those old videos. My voice is I'm kind of losing my voice here a little bit, but I think we'll probably have to go through some of those videos to kind of find those answers. I do believe they are out there, and I do believe we can get those quotes basically to kind of
Right.
show when these two met. I think they met in film school, and it should be right around this time. So I think these
Oh yeah, no,
dates.
they did meet during film school. He was actually, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, what I'd seen. I just don't remember when they officially actually met
Sure.
or started speaking. Because I didn't see that, but they did speak. It was through, I believe, the instructor suggested him.
Right. So they were both in the same course. Course probably started in January, and then depending on when all of that happened, when they actually met, and when they had the same project,
Right.
right? That's kind of the date that we're kind of still not really sure of. But looking at the Hothead videos, I mean, the earliest that I see of Danny August Mason looks like in this one. So I don't remember when the movie Old Country No Country for Old Men came out, but this is the earliest video that actually has Danny August Mason in it on the Hothead website. So
Okay.
um, had to be way before definitely before February 2011. But yeah, 2010 makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense
Rick,
there.
if you got that info, I mean, yeah, just send it along. I'll definitely look into it too. I'm curious. I'm trying to go and find that out. I would love to know when he's actually when he met him.
Yeah, I
Assuming
mean
that
if
plays. on a
Yeah.
couple of things here. Is then we look at, well, what did Danny August Mason know? What was he looking into at the time?
Sure.
What was something that was known at the time or a conspiracy there? Because we know that Danny August Mason is a quote mainstream conspiracy theorist, right? He's the one following what it's kind of more popular, if you will, to follow. He doesn't do digging. You can tell based on what he talks about. He does not dig into pretty much anything that he had talked about. Um, just all I got to say to that is listen to his interview he had with what was the paranormal lady's name, like Paranormal Sarah or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does an interview with her, and he completely just like he tries to transition it to Jeet Kune Do and spirituality and energy, and it's like, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, do you? You're making crap up. Oh my god, you watch too much DBZ. What's going on here, man? You know, way too many issues with what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's talking about anything. He's just there doing exactly what, well, he's made his quote career about, end quote. He's just nothing but an actor. He's fake, and so that's the problem I have with following anything with DAM is just for that.
Yeah.
He's very very fake. David, we can definitely tell the difference when you see those two when they're sitting together for the Alex Jones show. You see that David is just very confident in all this, while Danny August Mason does a lot of looking down. So we could do, I mean, we could do a total breakdown of that footage right there, because
Yep.
you see David holding his ground and talking to him and explaining everything, and then you've got Danny August Mason looking down and like he's a follower.
Yeah. Which
You can break
we
that down.
yeah, we do have that. That would be a good one to go through. It's like a 1 hour interview. Every time that I look for it, it's like a lesser quality video, so I can tell that it gets taken down, and then
Right.
somebody puts it back
You
up.
know what I'll do?
Yeah.
Actually, if anybody wants to be, and I'll put that up on the page today. But I'm gonna go and do like an open invite. If somebody wants to go and jump in, we'll have a conversation. Watching that, we'll do like a live reaction. We can do that tonight instead of that's what we'll do tonight. I think. So I'm just gonna do a live reaction. So if anybody wants to hop in on stream, we can get a free conference call going and just straight up just analyze, just all of us just kind of have a group discussion about that footage and just kind of just breaking down what's going on. Um, so we could always do something like that. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in that. We could
Yeah, for
watch
sure.
that video together and just
Yeah, I'll just be watching the Tampa Bay Bucks. Pretty much make sure that they get into the Super Bowl today. So aside from that, I should be I should be available.
yeah, all that matters for Super Bowl for me is the food. So I don't even watch football.
It's just a family thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I will not be watching the halftime show. I never watched the halftime show, especially in the
I know
last
it's way
five or
too
6 years.
satanic. Usually, it's like
Very
no thanks.
that's right. But that's not going to stop me from enjoying a sport that I've grown up on, that I've watched for my whole life. So
Right,
just
right.
throwing that out there. Yeah. So there's another Danny August Mason interview with what's this guy's name? This is called Enlightenment Radio. He's a clairvoyant medium and a co-host, Jason Haf- Haffley. So I think that's a different one than the Paranormal Sarah. But if you look at the Hothead, Paranormal Sarah is also part of that too. So she's in some of those videos there.
Is she really?
Some of the demo reels and things like that. She does pop up on there too. So she has a relationship with David at some
Right.
point here. Um,
I know
so
I've
yeah.
seen that one. That I know that she's got. I know she. Well, I want to say it's on her Facebook page. She has pictures of David taking either pictures or filming her like walking up on this. Like I'm pretty sure it's like this
Yeah.
like metal grating like flooring.
Hmm.
It's high up too, but I'm trying to remember what it's exactly called. But like between like two like big old like silos, I think is what it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah, there she is right there, I think. Sarah, I think her real name is Sarah Harmon, and she's on one of the early 2011 demo reels.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So,
definitely have to break this channel down too, just to go and
yeah,
see what are they trying to portray here? What's changing? When did we see Danny August Mason first? So that'd be good to actually add to the timeline. So
sure.
I like that idea. Definitely have to do that too.
Good stuff there, man. Um, well, I think we're gonna have to do a couple other. we're gonna have to do a whole series on this, I think, here
Yeah.
because we're gonna have to shut this one down, and we've only gotten to page two. So, Catherine and Sophia, I hope you're not laughing at me because you know how I am. And now I've gotten you
They know how we
involved in
both
this.
are.
They know how we both are. So here we go. But yeah, this just shows, hey, we're going to do a whole series on this and we're going to cover all these 37 pages, not including anything else that we're going to add into this. But I kind of felt like ending it with the Danny August Mason would probably be a good place. And then we can kind of pick up in our next show. Probably can't do it next Sunday, but maybe the Sunday after, maybe we
Sure.
can come back and kind of do the same thing here.
Yeah, sounds good to me, man.
All right, my brother. Any final words here before we shut this one down?
Um, yeah, just make sure you guys are when you're looking at this case, to definitely research every little thing because could it matter? We found things that from the past that do matter. Actually, we found things that happen later on that do matter. We find things from the current, what we have, and we find things all the time. So when it comes down to it, just do the research. Don't just go and believe what anybody says. It's what I know this is what the mainstream media says, but if somebody's telling you, go and do the research and they're giving you the facts, but they're not giving you links. No, we want you to do the research. We want you to go and discover it yourself. We'll present everything we can, but you're going to have to do your own research.
That's right. That's right. And Will, I want to thank you for creating this, for building and expanding this whole timeline. We're going to create, we're going to keep adding to this. I definitely have things. Just looking at this here, I got definitely a lot of stuff I'd like to add between 2007 and 2010. So this will
Sure.
be an ongoing thing here, and we'll come back next time and we will pick up from when Danny August Mason and David Crowley meet. I think that's going to be a great place to kind of pick it up because, like you said, that's really where things, as we go on, this is where things really build up. 2010 is the same year where really the Gray State trailer. That's when this is really built on. That's when this is
Hmm.
formed here. So this project, idea really starts here. Um,
Right. Well, you see that right there too, because you see between their meeting and then between that and May 1st, that's when the gray state's really starting to pick up
yeah, and I may have been
because then it gets
wrong.
sparked.
Yeah, and I may have been wrong about the Sarah, because now looking at this here, just going back a little bit here, Paranormal Sarah. Yeah, it is Sarah Harmon. Okay, just want to make sure I got that right because I don't want to make sure. I want to make sure I get all the stuff accurate. Whether I get it right now or get it right later, I want to make sure that it's all right and accurate. But um, they were doing a lot of stuff back then. This video, this is from 2011. They're doing a lot of
Hmm.
stuff here. And so they're all in this film school, all in this class, and things are really, really building. But just, I mean, look at what they're doing back in 2011.
Oh yeah, I do love his little where he brings in the name and all this and the info about the person. I do love how he did that. It looks pretty great.
Yeah, it's good stuff
So
here. And I think
yeah,
he's
he's got
on a
some really
map.
good title screens too. I will admit that.
Yeah, the hit. I thought that was a great. But yeah, we can talk more about that and all those little short videos. There's a lot of short videos that they were making back then that I think are really well done. So
Right.
we got a lot to go through, my friend.
Hmm.
All right, well, I will shut this down. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll come back not next Sunday, but the following Sunday, and we will continue part two, and we're going to go through this timeline that is ever building. You can see right now it's at 37 pages. And thank you, William, for creating this and for kind of helping us build on this. I think we have a great foundation here. Like you said, I think Dan Hannon created the first one. We've just been building and building. Everyone that's been helping, and um, I just want to thank everybody who has participated in this. And this version here is in the group file. So if anybody
Yes.
wants to go and check that out, just go to the Justice for David Crowley Family Facebook group, go under
It's the
files.
newest thing that just dropped. Yeah.
Yep, you can check it all out right there. All right, God bless you all. Until next time. Oh my god, my voice is